We're live at the World of Wellness. This is Wellness Week number 101, and I'm your host, Jamie Dorley, all week. It is a beautiful day out there, so come on down, folks. We're here all day. Today's half day till 5 p.m. I'm your host throughout the week, and we have my co-host who will be in and out this week. We're going to fly him down to Atlanta and back real quick for a couple of presentations. So welcome back, Joe Messino.
Yeah, we'll head down to hot Atlanta for a day and a half, but we'll be back. But you know what? Look at this weather. Unbelievable. Everybody's coming out in droves in this weather.
So it's beautiful time of the year. So come on down. You can come in live. We are open. I see some familiar faces that have not been in since the remodel. So welcome back. This entire week, we have so many things to take full advantage of. And one of the nicest things that our team did is they redid the sampling bags. Since some people were not happy with some of the sample bags I put together last time.
Gee, how could that be?
Well, so now they could put together their own sample bag and do a little trick-or-treat style. So that way you take what you like, take and leave what you don't. And I want to thank again our friends at Argent Silver.
Oh, man.
Seth
so
Quinto
generous.
and his family for sending a tremendous amount of free samples.
Yes.
We'll have to include that in Dr. Tracey's new sample bag. But we have the healthy food out front all day long. We have the smoothie bar going. We have samples throughout, literature, and incredible workshops. So I know we're really pressed for time. So I would like to give a nice warm welcome back to Dr. Tracey Stroup and congratulate her on my favorite book now, the Mommy Apothecary ebook. So people really love that. And, as we were talking about what we want to discuss this time, she said, I love the book. There's so many great things that people can use in their home. And then we started talking about some of all the home remedies.
Mm-hmm.
So she is running GetHealthy.store now. She's been VP at not only Nutritional Frontiers, I think she still is now, and doing an incredible job speaking for us, and also ran Trinity's educational program. So welcome back, not live, but live stream, Dr. Tracey Stroup. How we doing?
Good. Thank you, Jamie. It's always good to be here. Joe, I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been? Avoiding me?
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. Whoever that was. How's the weather out in the sticks? You got a nice
The
day out
sticks are
there?
fine. It's a little windy
Good.
out here, blowing away the Ohio sludge, I guess.
Well, it brings up a great point, right? Because it could be that or so many things people are exposed to, especially as the weather changes. So, what have you been seeing a lot lately from your patients and your clients and stuff? Because I know it's constantly evolving, right, with the things people are exposed to and, all the new challenges and stuff. So what have you been seeing more and more of or been getting more questions on?
Well, a lot of, I think, just the most recent, worry was the train derailment and then the cloud of smoke that was released in Ohio. I think people were concerned about water tables. They were concerned about air quality. My whole thing is not to go into fear and to be an alarmist. It's more of like, let's think this through and figure out what solutions that we can put into place now. I mean, as you and I always talk, Jamie, there's always going to be something that's going to kill us. This week it's one thing, next week it's something else. And it just all comes back to having what you need to have on hand in your house. So when you are put up against something that you can't control, whether it's a stressful situation or a situation that was like the Ohio situation, you have things in your house that are already part of your apothecary or just your daily lifestyle. So, one of the things that I recommended for people that were afraid, was a water filter system. If you're afraid about water quality with the water tables and, the chemicals spilling in there, people have been sucking down fluoride for 40, 50 years and never thinking twice about it. But suddenly we have a water table scare and, everybody's aware. So there is good that comes out of these tragedies, I guess you could say, that it does make people more aware and gives us opportunity to educate them that not only today should you have a water filter, but tomorrow and 10 years from now. And I know that you guys sell shower head filters, you sell water filters there at World of Wellness. All those things, those should be part of your daily life anyway, not
Right.
waiting for a catastrophe.
Right.
Yeah, we unfortunately had to do a VIP dinner in Ohio last week, and somebody said,
You're still
I was
alive, I see.
yeah,
Good. That's good.
yeah. Much to some people's chagrin, I'm still here. And I did have to invite Joe for moral support, and it was like he's like the canary in the coal mine. I said, Joe, you go first and let us know how you feel. Yeah, but no, seriously, somebody said, well, don't drink the water. I says, oh, okay. I said, what about the shower? Well,
Yeah.
don't
Right.
drink it in the shower. I says, I know don't drink it in the shower, but it goes through your skin. I says, brushing your teeth. In fact, I know when we go to Florida, not living there anymore, I do notice the chlorine, right? And Joe even
Yes.
says when he brushes
Oh,
his teeth, right? What do
you
you
can
do?
you can. I use bottled water or something else,
Yeah.
something with maybe a little higher alcohol content. But you know what? I noticed in the rooms in Ohio though that last week they gave a lot of water, a lot of
Yeah.
bottled water. So they're
And
up on it.
at the World of Wellness, we do have the shower filters. And what about for the home? We have the ones here at the office that are really high quality that filter out about 10 different things and then restore some of the mineral content. What about for your home? Is there anyone you recommend in particular for people to get?
There's several that I know are on the World of Wellness store that are high quality, but I do like a good old Berkey water filter system. I mean, I think they've been doing it long and strong, and they have 4 carbon filters on the top. You can put fluoride filters on the bottom, and it does take out a lot of other contaminants that most water filter systems will miss. So I do use that one. I think it's the best one.
Mhm.
It is an initial investment. You'll pay a couple $100s for it, but the carbon filters will last decades. And you can scrub them off and make them porous again. So that's the one that I recommend. And then when people were worried about toxicity of self, I hands down DMG. I don't know how to say it any simpler, any easier, but if you can't methylate your own body functions of assimilation and detoxification, you can drink all the filtered water you want and you're still going to be exposed to toxins. So my protocol was a binder of some sort, enter DMG and get yourself a water filter. It was pretty simple. And, I think it just gave people a lot of peace to know that they could do something every day, like activated charcoal, right? Or some sort of binder, like, I don't know, ultra binder, or even bentonite clay is so easy. And you can find it at Rite Aid, for goodness sakes, in an organic. But you guys have all of that. And they could come right down there and have a little, if they're worried, a detox bundle that would have a water filter, some NRDMG, and a binder of some sort. Super easy. Keep it in your house. And I will tell you this won't be the first catastrophe that's going to hit like that. There's going to be others that come around. Even the dog agrees. Like, come
I
on.
know. He's back there saying, yes, mommy, yes.
Does he get filtered water too?
She does. Yeah,
She
she
does.
does.
Okay.
She's
Everyone
a good
does,
girl.
but Eric. Eric's
Yeah.
the only one that doesn't.
Eric, I just let him drink out of the tap. He's tough.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
His bowl
So-
is
The hose.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you
he's
what the
allowed.
biggest thing is, though, with the Berkey water filter. It's who's going to fill it back up. That seems to be a point of
Yeah.
contention in every household. It's like once that thing's empty, you will tip it as far as it'll allow gravity, just to
Then
get
you're
that
like,
last
I'm not
drops, and you don't have
thirsty.
to fill it up.
I'm not thirsty anymore.
I think it's the same person that replaces the toilet paper, right?
Right. Or the paper towels. Yeah.
Yeah, the paper
So-
towel.
So when
Mhm.
we first were introduced, I know you had a situation with an infant. Can you share us that success story with the DMG? Because oftentimes people are like, "Is it safe?" I had someone in yesterday. Is it safe with my medications? 5 medications. That says no because the medications aren't safe. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
can you tell us about that experience? Because that really goes a long way. It does have 5 U.S. patents on DMG, dimethylglycine. It's been around for about 40 years plus. And if you're not really sure about the biochemistry, just remember darn mighty good, DMG.
Yeah, well, it was a while back. It was probably around 2015. I had my clinic, and I had a mother come in. This was probably her fourth child, fourth baby, and he just seemed. I mean, he was very healthy family. She was all organic. None of her kids were vaccinated. Like she was doing all the things, but he just almost like a failure to thrive. Like he had low tone and just low in energy, and this was just when we started to hear about MTHFR and that polymorphism that really affects your ability to convert B vitamins and be able to methylate those B vitamins and create new and healthy cells. So I texted Mike Gallagher and I was like, hey, I was like, I've done all the things, like everything. I cannot get this baby. I just don't know what's wrong. It keeps getting sick, da 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 da. And he said, try DMG. And he said, just give him a whole dropper full. And I was like, it's a 6-month-old baby. And he was like, yeah, just give him a whole dropper full. So I was like, okay. So I went back, got the bottle. And he had also referred me to the book and the studies, you know, and the guide. And I was like, all right. So I told the mom, came in, opened the bottle right in my store, gave a dropper full to the baby with mommy's permission. And she took the bottle, purchased it, went home. And the next day she called me and she said, I don't know what you gave my son, but whatever it is, I need 10 bottles of it because everybody's getting it. And that was kind of like the beginning of my passionate love for DMG. Like in that moment, I was like, wow, something so simple and so powerful and nobody knows about it, you know? So it's in my book. It's one of my staples in there. You know, it's definitely something people should keep on the shelf because it's one of the easiest things. If you have seasickness, you can do DMG. If you have an injury, you can do DMG. If you just have low energy, you can do DMG. If you're not sleeping, you can do DMG because people think it's something that revs you up. When methylation is really about the right processes of your body and communication within those systems. You know, as Dr. Judy always says, she's like, we're not terrain and germs. She's like, we need food. She said, but we're really systems with defense mechanisms around them. And when those systems break down, our defenses break down. And so you have to start by rebuilding the system, not the defense. So when we were talking about immunity and all these things, you know, she was like, you can do all the vitamin C, you can do all those things, but if your system is broken. And so when she and I taught the class, DMG is the first thing we teach because we were like methylation, that modulates your immune system. That enhances detoxification. That boosts your immune system. So it was just one of those things that getting people back to how the body works versus the end game where we're doing a pill for every ill, you know, and sometimes I don't think people understand my protocols all the time where they'll call me and say, I have X. And I go all the way back here and I'm like, well, you need these 3 things. And then for the end game, for that symptom, that condition, that issue, take this. But they're like, well, what's all this for? I'm like, so you don't have this again, because the reason you have this is because all of this is broken, you know? So it's just a new way of thinking. I think we've been indoctrinated with the pill for every ill model and repress it rather than feed the system so that you don't get it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that goes back all the way back to your experience as a personal trainer, right? Changing the environment of the body, right? Not just with the exercise, the diet, but the emotional wellness and putting all these things together. Because oftentimes we like, people, what do I do to lose weight? It's well, that's part of it, but what do we do long term, right? And I love the fact that in Nutritional Frontiers we have DMG in a liquid and a chewable. That's just DMG by itself. So you can take that, and then we actually fortified a lot of the formulas with it. And the newest one I love is the updates on the greens and then the Live Complete. So I know that's something you really enjoy using. So is that one of your staples you recommend too?
Yeah, I have a couple from your company. So always DMG, the lean greens and power cleanse just seems to be easy. And it's one of those things that I'll be hot and heavy on it for a while and then I kind of forget. And then I'm like, why do I do that? And I was actually explaining to someone the other day, like, not everybody with MTHFR should take methylated B vitamins. And so what I like about your line is that there's options within your formulations. And I know people don't get that down and dirty with your ingredients panels, but I do. So I look at Women's Complete and Frontier Men's Complete, and those have the quadrifolic. I look at your Power Cleanse and it has the biofolate. It's a different bioavailability. So I will use strategically this for one type of client and this power cleanse for someone else, whereas your multivitamin, just the Frontier Multi, has the biofolate. So I have options for different polymorphisms, and not a lot of people understand that, but that's what a practitioner's for. So I normally have a staple of lean greens, power cleanse, DMG, and then hands down SPMs have to be in your apothecary. Natakinase, right? Natakin Plus has to be in there. CBD cream has to be in there. There's certain things that I'm always approaching inside and outside. Because inflammation to me is inflammation. It doesn't matter if it's viral inflammation, bacterial inflammation, injury inflammation, food sensitivity inflammation. I'm trying to modulate the immune system. And the reason you're having an inflammatory response is because your body can't do that appropriately on its own, or you're just poisoning it with some sort of food you shouldn't be eating. So I don't really always believe that we're allergic to organic, God grown, God made food. We are allergic to red dyes, glyphosate and things that'll poison us. But if it's food and it comes from a seed, whether it's tree, ground, run, swim, fly, right? Why are we suddenly allergic to food? We're not. We just have really bad digestion, or we have a deficiency, or there's a toxicity. So once we fill those, and I know Jeff Nisnik talks about that all the time, like he'll have people come in with multiple food allergies. He gives them minerals and they get better. And everyone's like, wow. Like, well, most sickness is deficiency, right? So I think that's important for people, is to realize, like, just a good multivitamin and some DMG every day, you can feel 70% better than you do today, like easily. So we make health
Yeah.
really complicated.
Let's talk a little more about the SPMs, because I had an experience this weekend at home by the lovely and talented Mrs. D saying, where's the SPMs? Kind of what I heard in my head. I said, I know that was the polite version.
Well, you
But-
forgot the Jamie. Where
Yeah.
are the SPMs?
It takes 4 Jamies before I
Yeah.
respond. So, but no, she was in a lot of pain, right? She was working hard. She's a full-time caregiver, Tracey, for her dad. It
Yeah.
is the nicest thing I've ever seen. It's just so beautiful to see. She's helping out at the wellness center. She was making all the treats all night, and she was sore, right? So she says, somebody was telling about, take the SPMs. And she says, where are they? I said, they're hidden, right? I got them in the back so no one could take them. But then she's like, all right, we're running out. So I went and got them. And how long did it take before you noticed them? Took 2 soft gels, and an hour later can see significant improvement.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Pain is gone. Well, there you go. So
That's right.
I've had similar experiences with my neck. One weekend, I was like, how come it hurts? I'm like, oh, yeah, I haven't been taking the SPMs. I went to the office, got them, and within about an hour to hour and a half, I was even shocked. So you can talk a little more about your experience with the SPMs, because people may think of that as more of a chronic type of thing, but you can use it acutely if you have
Yeah.
some of that pain going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can use it for any inflammation, whether it's chronic or acute. And what that means is if it's inflammation from something that's been a long time in your body, or autoimmune, versus you've sprained your ankle, or you just had surgery, or you have a bad bruise, right? So all of that to your body is inflammation. It's gonna create a response. Your body's gonna send the fire trucks, whether it's a viral infection causing inflammation, which is how your immune system starts, or somebody comes and punches you in the eye and you get a black eye and you need something for that. So that's SPMs. That's what they're going to do. They're going to help give the right amount of inflammation, but then stop that inflammation and start the right healing process. And I usually tell people, like, if SPMs work for you very quickly, there's a good chance that the reason that you get into inflammation is because you're deficient in omegas and your body doesn't really have enough to work with. The second reason would be you're under a lot of stress. That's probably your wife. And the third reason might be that you might not sleep very well. So sleep, stress are big. They basically degrade our SPM potential. And then if you don't have enough omega fats to work from, all the SPMs in the world are not going to help you until you fill that deficiency. So sometimes people will take 6. I usually say start with 6 a day, 2 at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then, work into 4 a day and then down to 2. That would be what I would consider a therapeutic dose. But if you have a good fat diet and you're eating healthy and you're sleeping good and your stress is, as much as you can keep it under control, 2 might work very quickly for you. So it really depends on the person, the level of deficiency. But what these little guys do is just use your good fats, DHA, EPA, DPA, and they help direct the inflammation and healing process. And what's in the bottle are just the biochemical mediators to make that reaction happen. So it's a great product, and it's one that I tell people to have on hand, especially if you're living on this planet. You know, something's going to happen where you need them, and you can use them for any inflammation, sinus infection, anything. Like you can just take them, and you'll start to notice the inflammatory response modulating in your body because you're feeling a deficiency.
Now, dosing is an interesting topic for SPMs, right, James? Because you like 3 twice a day, and some people like 2 to 6 in divided doses. Is it also dependent upon what's actually going on? And I can give you a perfect example. I have a pinched nerve right now in my sciatic in the last couple of days, last 4 or 5 days. But I've had the docs working on me, loosening it up, getting some heat and everything. But until I went to 3 soft gels 2 to 3 times, I wasn't getting the relief because of the, it all depends on what it is.
Yeah.
How
It
deep.
depends on the person, depends on the injury. Sometimes you just have to keep it in your bloodstream at higher doses. You know, so if you're doing three times a day, that's a higher dosing than, keeping 2 in your system twice a day. Also, the length of time between where you might have had more activity at certain points in your day versus other ones. Or maybe when you were inactive and sitting a lot, that might have caused more stress. So again, it's very much up to the practitioner to be the practitioner and not for me to tell them. What I will say is that, for adult dosage versus kids recover very fast. And they require much less, usually a capsule. And I usually tell moms, like, you can just poke that capsule and squeeze it into juice or whatever, however you can get it into the kid. And also compliancy, so some people won't take 3 capsules that big at one time, right? Because they're not small. But somebody will take 2, maybe 1, 3 times a day. Other people say to me, I'm never going to remember to take them at night. Can I just take them all in the morning? Sure. Do what you can to get in the dosage that you need. It's not optimal because I like to keep things in the bloodstream throughout the day. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to eat breakfast and that's all I'm going to eat. And that food's going to sustain me all day. That's true, but you're going to have dips in your blood sugar. You're going to get hungry. And I think the same goes with supplementation, is that we have to get out of the mindset that we have to take it all at one time, and you can take it throughout the day. And I do that with lots of different products. Like your Adrenamax, I usually tell people 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you take 2. Because those are when you see your dips in your hormones, right? Your adrenals it's why you need that 3 o'clock, instead of a Snickers, grab the Adrenamax. So I usually hit around 4, right? Same thing with Pro Oranges. I'll tell people to drink those at 3 o'clock and take their Adrenamax at 4 o'clock. That way they're getting their, green tea extracts in there. It's driving estrogen down the right pathways. They hit the Adrenamax at 4 o'clock, and now the adrenals are feeling nourished. And then I might couple that with like Women's Complete in the morning and Thyro Complete one before breakfast. So I'm very kind of strategic with how I recommend people take products. And I usually tell them, if you can just comply with me for 30 days on this regimen, we'll lighten up when you start to feel better. But for right now, it's kind of like going to your physical therapy appointment at the set times when you're supposed to go. This is just your nutrient therapy appointment, and you got to set your watch by it. So I think people do that and they appreciate it.
Well, it's the art of what you do, right? As a naturopathic doctor, is that you have to experiment, and you also have to get in compliance factors, right? Because I do notice when I went to 2 to 3 at once, even if it was one time a day, I could tell the difference, right? And then it would add in that second dose on occasion and got me over the hump. Last night, my daughter got home. She's 16, a little tougher, compliant-wise, and she had her first practice. She says, give me something to help with all the pain. I said, what pain? She goes, I'm going to be sore
the pain
tomorrow.
I'm going to have.
Yeah. I said, okay. And she goes, I said, I grabbed the Mag Complete first. I help her, the muscles relax at night. And she says, can I take 1? I said, sure. Because if I tell her 4, not going to happen. And she was worried because she knows magnesium can help with her bowels, right? And I said, all right, you got to take 1.
She's going to love that you're talking about this on live chat. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. She'll be ecstatic. So we added in 1 SPM. So 1 SPM and 1 Mag Complete did it, right? So you got to meet the person where they are. But those are formulas I like to have at my house that you can use regardless of what goes on. What about one of our favorite formulas, the original Probzyme? Is
Oh
that
yeah.
something that I
We
know a
like
lot of
all
moms like
flavors,
that?
all delivery systems. I have my travel size on my desk right here. That's always here along
The
with my
180 count, Joe. It's her travel
Yeah.
size.
well, that sits on my desk, right? Like back there is my bottles, but I usually keep that either in my bag or on my desk just because it's, I don't know, I eat supplements if I get hungry. I eat
And
DMG
those
through the
little
day.
travel size bottles are easy to refill, to take
Yeah,
with
they
you
are. Yeah, that's a
with
great point.
everything. Yeah.
You can save the planet and feel better too. Yes, what a
Yeah.
great point. But no, I like Prozyme. I like Prozyme for kids especially, but I do like it for adults because how many adults take gummy vitamins and how many adults take chewable this or
Mhm.
chewable that? I think people have come to an age where that's like pilled out. You know, it's like, you know what I mean. Especially if you're working with someone that's on a lot of prescriptions, they don't want another pill on top of all their pills.
Right.
So I'll work with Probzyme for people to get them off of antacid reducers or protonics. You know, if they're taking over the counter stuff, it works. For kids, I use it. But I do love to use it when I'm doing parasite or candida cleanses. And the reason is number one, it'll eat up any of the die off. So I tell people to take it in between their meals, just one or two chewables all day long. So they'll do maybe up to 6 a day. And when you're doing a candida cleanse or a parasite cleanse, sometimes people's nutrition shifts real fast from maybe a, you know, not so healthy diet to something very clean, and they might get hungry in between. And so I do let them snack, but I'll tell them, I'm like, chew on some Probzyme if you're hungry, you know. So I'll use it systemically as well as like systemic enzyme therapy, and it tends to have high compliancy because it tastes good and people don't mind doing it. So
Yeah,
I
we
like
get
that.
great results
like it.
on that for any age group,
Yeah,
right?
any age group.
Very
Mhm.
safe,
Yeah.
pregnancy, stages of life, childbearing years, for kids,
Mhm.
infants, right? And what if the
Well,
kid
that's
can't
the thing. I
chew?
think people worry about what's safe, right? I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't met anybody that will call me and say, "Hey, is this safe to take?" Right? And I'm like, "Well, did you read your insert for the 7 prescriptions that you're on and see if they were safe to take?" But when I give them a supplement, they're like on the back of the bottle, you know, like so I usually tell people that yes, it's safe to take. It's just a probiotic. They're already inside your body. You know, we have to move away from the idea that supplements are some sort of medical miracle. This
Right.
is food. It's food. And food is your medicine. It just comes in a different delivery form. It's more compact and it's higher in nutrition density. That's all. That's the difference. There are some drugs that are made from natural constituents, something like an SSRI, that drives the same direction as L-theanine. It doesn't make L-theanine unsafe. It makes the drug forceful. So we have to, you know, start to separate ourselves from the pharma mindset of what supplements do in the body. You know, pharma forces. You know, what we do with supplementation feeds. And you want to be able to feed your body so that it can do things and can stop doing other things rather than forcing it to do it when it doesn't have the energy or the ability to recovery from that force. That's why there's side effects to drugs, or as Joe always says, direct effects.
Direct effects. Hey, I got an off-label thing for you on Probzyme. I was just reading about this, where they're using this particular type of bacteria, especially the bacillus,
Uh-huh.
for oral health,
Oh
for
yeah.
gum health. Yeah, I mean, taking like chewing it, especially and letting it, into a liquid in your mouth, especially before bed, is what they were talking about. Is the key to keeping oral health.
Yeah,
So
good bacteria.
yeah.
Well, you know, there's so many things that we can look at with kids. I look at kids' teeth the very first time I meet them. It's the very first thing I look at, and I can tell, you know, how much digestive issues they have, or if they have sinus, or just look at children's teeth, and you can tell a lot about their health.
Hmm.
So, what are some other things that you feel very confident, that's very safe for kids and stuff to have at home, right? Because we're thinking about probiotics and enzymes, and we talked a little bit about the greens, right, and
Mhm.
DMG, which are in a lot of our formulations. I love how you go into the food base because I recommend that everyone they should do one shake every
Yeah.
day, right? This is something in their house. There are days you can do 2 or 3, and there are days maybe you don't do 1. But it's always good to have that good quality of food base and then the nutraceutical. So I love things like the Probzyme and DMG. What are some other things that you feel everyone should have? I know you were involved in helping us create the immune kit. Is that something you still promote, with the Immunomax and the D and the Cherry C's?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the things that people call me about, right? If people call me and say, "Hey, little Jimmy has an ear infection, what do I do?" Some of those things, like just having the right tools as a parent to be able to look inside your child's ears like an otoscope. If you guys sell them, they can come down and get those. So easy to have on hand. During COVID, I was like pulse oximeter, right? If we're all scared about having low oxygens because they tried to scare the bejesus out of us with that. Colloidal silver. And I do like a nano silver. I know you guys carry Argentin, great product. I like structured silver as well, like amio. So those are great products to have on hand. Silver is probably the most versatile thing that you can have on hand to use because you can put it in any hole. If you have an issue, you have an eye issue, an ear issue, a nose issue, a mouth issue, or even a private area issue, it's safe to use. And it's
That's good to
very
know,
easy
Joe.
compliance
Good to
wise.
know, buddy.
Expanding it
There
all
you
the
go.
time.
Remember that little
Yeah.
problem
Tracy
we were
always has
talking
a good
about
one
this
for it.
thing? So, but I mean, that's an easy way to tell people of, we get scared to use things, and even just brown bottle peroxide. That by far is one of the most universal things. There's so many studies done on utilizing peroxide 1-to-1 equal with purified clean water. Okay, for women in vaginosis. Like if you go look up on PubMed the use of peroxide in vaginosis in women, tons of studies on it. But we don't talk about that with women, for those types of issues. Oregano. You should always have some sort of oregano tincture. You're going to run into a virus or a sickness. You should always have activated charcoal. You should always have systemic enzymes. There's just a whole bunch of things that I put in my resource guide so that people know what to have on hand. And then at the end of it, I put the protocols together so that you don't have to text me at 10:30 at night if little Jimmy has a fever or if he has an earache or an eye infection or somebody cut themselves or they got poison ivy. What do I do? I mean, systemic enzyme therapy for poison ivy with a little bit of homeopathic thuja or Rust Tox, not thuja, Rust Tox, and then, doing a colloidal silver gel on top of the area is amazing. Like it takes it out of the blood, the Natikin Plus. You do this over gel topically to keep the itch down and the secondary infection from scratching yourself to death. And you do Rust Tox homeopathic, which is actually poison ivy. That's what it is. So there are things that we can do. It's just that all of these old school remedies that came from our grandma's grandma, we forgot about them and they've been replaced with big pharma. But your best pharmacy is your backyard. You can find comfrey and lamb's ear and burdock and plantain and all of those things that they call weeds have a use medicinally in your health. So pretty cool
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
hearing so many different remedies that we use still, some of them, but years ago we did. I know the silver, the Argentin silver, we've had in the wellness center for years,
Yeah.
over 10 years, in the kitchen. A lot of staff knows to take it if they're not feeling good or a sore throat, go in there and use it acutely. Also, you can use it topically on your skin.
Mm-hmm.
If you have cuts or you have some abrasions or stuff like that, or a rash, you can spray it right on there. So that's one right away I love. And then I'm thinking back, growing up as a kid, there was numerous ones at our house. I'm thinking aloe plant, right? That was always in the house, and you
Yeah.
knew. Well,
Cut
back
it
then you would
open.
play outside, so you would get cuts and stuff like that. And you can use the aloe plant. You break it right open, and you knew how to even peel it off of there to keep the plant alive. But to squeeze that juice on your hand or finger, whatever it may be, and you could feel the immediate soothing of that. And now we have it in supplements, and also still can do the plant.
Mm-hmm.
What about some of the things in your house, Joe?
Well, the one of the things, alcohol was always a really good, antiseptic. But we used to have we're going way back. I remember the mercurochrome.
Oh my
You
gosh.
get a cut, put this on it, everything will be fine, right?
I was a master with
Garlic
that
was always
stuff.
another
Yeah.
big one.
'Cause
Garlic
back
was a
then
big
it
one.
was like you get
Well,
covered.
fermented garlic is so good for you.
Yeah.
Like you just take cloves of garlic, put them in a jar, and you ferment those. Like
Mhm.
you can take one clove a day, and it is just amazing for your digestive health, for your overall health, for your immune system, kills bacteria, cleanses the blood, keeps vampires away. Like look at all the things, you know? So,
Well,
but it's great. These
tell
little
us a little bit about dandelion.
I love dandelion. You know, my all saying is if God put it everywhere, it's probably for a reason. You know, there's certain things that he put everywhere. He put water everywhere. He put trees everywhere. He put grass everywhere. He put dandelions. He put fat everywhere. So it's probably for a reason, right? We can get into the fat. But dandelions are great. I mean, if you look at a plant, it's going to represent what it's good for. So the head of the dandelion is loaded with your fat soluble vitamins, A, D, K, absorbed from the sun. So it's going to be good for any fat soluble process in your body, like brain, spine, lymphatic system is heavily reliant on fat soluble vitamins. And then you have the stem, which is going to be good for the core of the body, digestion. And then you have the leaves, that's going to be good for circulation. And then you have the roots, right, that are actually going to be good for any type of blood cleansing, things like that. So the entire plant is good. It's just for some reason we got it in our head that it's a weed and that we need to destroy it. I mean, plus it's one of the main foods for honeybees and other, you know, bugs that keep our entire ecosystem going. But if by eating dandelions or frying them up with a good olive oil, you can make dandelion salad. I remember my grandmother used to do that. And then she would saute the dandelion heads with like olive oil and garlic and salt and pepper. Now, it's not every kid's dream, but again, we have been conditioned and we've raised our kids on these non-healthy recipes, you
You
know.
cook
So
anything in garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper, it's okay.
tastes good. That's right. It tastes
Right.
good. So you can sneak a few little dandelion shoots into a salad, I think, and
Yeah.
probably get the benefits. But I mean, it's a bitter, right? Dandelion's bitter, so any bitters are good for digestion.
So
Dandelion's
the
great.
incredible book you put out, the Mommy Apothecary ebook, is that available to the public now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So there should be a link somewhere. Phil,
Yep.
where's the link? But I also still have the code that's available for all your audience, and they can use that. It's just NF special 50, and that'll get them 50% off of the book.
Wow, very generous.
Ooh.
So
You have
generous,
to
aren't
buy another one,
I
Joe.
know. I got mine at full price.
Well,
I love you. Yes, but I'll give you a printed copy when it comes out.
Oh,
So
that's what was my next question. You are going to have printed copies?
I am. I'm actually having it. I had a friend who was super nice. She's awesome, and she was like, "Hey, I love your book. It's wonderful." She was like, "Can?" She's a book editor, and she lays out books professionally. And she was like, "Can I relay this for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, great." So she's like, "I know that you can't do that, and you're busy lecturing." And she's like, "This is one way that I can help contribute to helping people." And it was super awesome. So she's actually doing that, and once that's finished I'm going to put it in hard copy. I do have some updates on a few things that I want to add. So anyone that has the link will get the updated PDF, and then I'll get hard copies to you guys. So
Great.
so great, Phil. You have that link. We're gonna put that
yep,
up there so
put it
people
in
can
there.
see it
Thanks.
and they can take full advantage of it. We enjoyed the book. It's got a lot of very simple to read, practical usage that you can take advantage of right away, right? And it's not a book you got to read cover to cover, even though I know Joe did. So
Yeah.
you can just
Because I knew
peek
my
in
daughter
there.
would have questions when I gave it to her, so I
Oh.
had to read it first. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love it because it incorporates the old school remedies, like you mentioned, your grandma's house or at my house.
Mhm.
And now I think we've skipped a generation where we've lost a lot of those. In
Yeah.
fact, we still use some. I mean, even my kids know Epsom salt, right? So if they're playing sports and their legs hurt or their ankle got twisted or something, that was always something we use in a bath afterwards to help drain the fluids out so that you can reduce the swelling from any type of mild
Sure.
strain or sprain, right?
Sure.
So a lot of these great home remedies, unfortunately, have lost, the traditions
Yeah.
that we skipped a generation. I'm glad you reintroduced them a lot with the new book now that's available, The Mommy's Apothecary, What Every Parent Should Have on Hand and Why by Dr. Tracey Stroup. And I love it because I think over the last 30 years of doing this, oftentimes, and I'm sure you get even more calls than we do, but well, I've been sick how long? 3 or 4 days. I'm like, well, it's
Mhm.
got to run its course. What do you mean? I says, it takes 3 or 4 days to get in the body. You get 3 or 4 days to get out. However, if you have these things on hand and you're taking Immunomax or the Probzyme
Hmm.
or Cherry Chews or DMG or Air Max, if you're even taking one a day, it's in your facility, in your
Hmm.
home or in your office. That way, when you have that first sign of symptom, you got to attack. Can you
It's got to
talk a
be
little bit
there.
about that? Because that's a key component is that if they're not having it at their place, they're missing out on that initial ability to activate the
Yeah,
immune
act
system.
and to act quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that 2 points on that, what you said. I get people all the time that tell me, like, well, can I use up the supplements I have before I start yours? No. That first, you should want to build up, a supplement cabinet. That's really important to have exactly what you said. Have an immune bundle, a GI bundle. When people call me and say, what do I need? I need something. I literally will take a Ziploc and put the products in a Ziploc, put an index card, how to take it, throw it in there, and I write on the outside of the Ziploc GI bundle, and I tell them, when you feel better and you don't need this anymore, stick it like this on your shelf. Then when that happens again, you can just pull that GI bundle off your shelf and you can take it according to the card. Same thing with an immune bundle, same thing with an injury bundle. Like all of these things should be what you put together at your house. So if you have supplements, and that's a big thing. Like, though, I saw so many doctors and I have so many supplements. Good. That's great. We can use what you have, or you can keep it for when you need it. And then, second, you have to take enough of what you're taking for long enough. When you take supplementation, it's not going to repress your symptoms, it's going to modulate the body so that it can overcome the infection or the injury or whatever that is. That just takes time. And depending on how deficient you were, will take the amount of time to get out of it. So, like Joe, when he has a back injury, he's doing what's called, the trifecta. He's got the chiropractic, the physical. He's probably doing something topical as well. And then he's
CBD
doing,
cream.
yeah, and now you're doing something internal.
Right.
So he's got the modality, the topical application, and then the internal application. That's how we should approach everything. You're sick with the flu, have a fever? Great. Topical application. What is it? Usually people will put a cold compress. They might do some essential oils to help with the fever. And then they could get into an Epsom salt bath, right, which would be the modality, or they could go into an infrared sauna. They could do something like that. And then internally, they should be taking things that are going to modulate the immune system. SPMs would be in my protocol for sickness, hands down. Vitamin C at a high enough dose, right? People are like, I took one. Like, one's not enough. That's like sending one soldier into a battle. Like you send a fleet into the battle, right?
Yeah.
So we have to take enough, and then making sure it's quality. In the first part of my book, I do talk about distributors of supplements, and big distributors like Amazon that kind of really grew during COVID because people were looking, and unfortunately, doctors weren't ready. They didn't have an online presence. But the thing with Amazon, and we all love Amazon, I love Amazon, but they're not a wellness company, although people consider them that. And the reason is because they would go to their practitioner and get their supplements, but they had a lifestyle, right? They wanted a lifestyle. They wanted the sauna and they wanted the water bottle and they wanted the filter and they wanted this, cool infrared mat or whatever. And now what you guys have with your World of Wellness store is all the categories. They don't have to go away from you. And since Amazon has no certificate of authenticity, I have a picture in the front of my book that was from a client that had a supplement she ordered off of Amazon. And when she opened the bottle, all the capsules inside were different, all of them. And she's like, what do you think? I was like, throw it out. That's what
It
I
was a
think.
variety pack. They
You
didn't
don't
tell
know
her that
what's
she
in
was
there.
getting.
So if it's a brand selling on Amazon, that's one thing. I mean, you're going to get it from the brand through Amazon.
Even
But if
then,
it's just a
Tracy's,
person,
I get a lot of calls, people, or they come in, oh, I bought this on Amazon. Can you help?
Mm.
And I'm like, I really can't comment on it because I don't know that product
Right.
or the background on the product. So
Mhm.
something lacking on Amazon. And I guess, when people going through the virus for a while, there were a lot of people were staying home. So maybe they didn't crave that interaction, but we're seeing that people really miss it, right? Even
Yeah.
if they're Zooming with you or a phone call or a text, an email, or they come and visit you or watch your podcast. There's no relationship with Amazon or Google or any of those things. It's very passive in one way, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't discuss it. And as you said many times, don't treat a test, right? You're not a
Yeah.
test. You got to really have that relationship with someone like you or our team here or any of our doctors that you can actually talk and explain what's going on and express to them some of the symptoms and challenges you're having, and then help with the compliance, because on those distribution options, you're only getting the product. That's it. And we know there's a lot more to this than just the product.
In the old days, it was just GNC, and then when you had GNC, you had a $5 an hour clerk, just dispensing or ringing you up. Now you've got a GNC to the 100th degree with Amazon, but you still don't get the support same way.
Well,
that's
one
the
of the
advantage you
things, yeah, I do talk about that in the book as well, where we just talk about, are you begging? I talk about the fact that we circumvent the ambassador, the person that's really putting in the time, the effort, all the education. When someone goes to Amazon and will buy a product and then come back to me and say, hey, I bought this on Amazon, how do I use it? Number one, if you're not in my care, I don't know anything about you. I don't know what you bought it for. I can't give you suggestions. I don't know what medications you're on. I don't know your history. So that's first, right? We don't have a relationship for me to even make a recommendation for you, because you're coming to me with a product about an issue that I don't know anything about. And then second, if I don't know the product, right, or how the efficacy of that product, or how is it made, where is the raw ingredients sourced from, like I haven't done my due diligence on that product to actually get behind it and say, yes, that's going to work for you. Because if I tell that person who bought some sort of subpar product off of Amazon how to use something and it doesn't work, she's not going to blame Amazon. She's going to come back and say, Tracey doesn't know what she's talking about. I got this product and she told me how to use it and I didn't get better. Well, yeah, because it was a product that had no nutrition levels and it was probably loaded with glyphosate and it probably made you worse. So I don't give recommendations, but I think the biggest thing is that people don't realize that that is unethical. That, if and this actually happened to me on a class, and I stopped the class, and I mean it with every good part of my heart, I promise you, because there are some parts in my heart where I'm like, grr, and I'm just kidding. But I did say in the class, somebody threw in a link to a vitamin C that they used for their family, which wasn't something that I was talking about. And I just stopped the class and I said, I want to address this. I said, because I clearly know that you shared that out of the goodness of your heart. I was like, but as a practitioner, I was like, I don't know that product. I know nothing about that company. I said, and it's coming into my class. I said, and number two, this is class 5. So it was 5 classes for my functional blood work class. And I said, I've put all this time in, developed all these resources for you, all of these PowerPoints for you. I would just appreciate that you buy from me. There's nothing wrong with saying it. You know what she said? I didn't know. I'm sorry. No problem. No problem at all. I didn't want to come across as a jerk. But I think if we don't say that to people, what's going to happen is we're going to lose our ambassadors. People like me, and what we saw during COVID is that these huge monsters of the industry will undercut us, underprice us, and sell you supplements in bulk and all these discount deals that we can't do unless you're working with a company like NF that doesn't sell on Amazon and only sells to practitioners. And I have to compete with that, and I'm trying to provide for my family, for my kids. I'm trying to be able to continue educating so that I can stay in business, because if I can't stay in business, all that goes away.
You can't help anybody.
And so I just don't think that we don't talk about it enough, and people don't know that. So as a practitioner, and I know other practitioners feel this way, I tell them, I'm like, tell your clients you would appreciate if they buy from you, and then give them 10% off to continue, or 15, or whatever that looks like, so that they can buy from you. You want to work with that person.
And I want to remind people or let them know that there's a lot of added value, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure Tracy's been so generous many times with many people
Hmm.
that she doesn't charge for every text, phone call, comment, question, or whatever, right?
Right.
Right.
She donates a lot of her time. She's in it for the right reasons, and it's still a business, but she's got a lot of passion behind it. So you get a lot of extra value, right? And we do that with our clients and our healthcare professionals and people that come in. That's why we do the wellness events, right? We're trying to make us more unique, just like you do. And there is a lot of value that goes into that because they're getting your time, they're getting your expertise, your 20 plus years of experience, right? And then your network too, right? They don't know that you can call Dr. Judy and, Dr. Len and whoever else you want to talk to, right?
Right.
And get some of their background or, hey, you have a unique case. Let me talk to a couple people. So there's a lot more they get
Hmm.
for Joe than just buying the product.
Oh yeah.
And plus the products that,
Service.
now they're very similarly priced. They're not like you're paying
Hmm.
$10 for one and 1,000 for another.
Oh yeah, it goes way back to years and years ago when we were trying to convince allopathic physicians to be a little bit more natural and holistic, and it's just the service end of it, the value, the follow through, and when you would hear a doctor say, "Oh, I can't sell vitamins," and I said, "Well, you're not. You're providing a service. You're
Right.
providing a protocol. This is where you wouldn't recommend something that you didn't believe in." So, it's that mindset. It's just transferred now to the public instead of the practitioner.
So I
Yeah.
want to thank, of course, the one and only Dr. Tracey Stroup for joining us today. She's been so
Thank you.
generous with all her experience, her passion, her knowledge is second to none. And the thing I love about her, many things, of course, is the way she can take something that's very complex and complicated and make it very simple and understanding. That's a lost art for a teacher. So we want to commend you for that. Her
Oh,
book
thanks.
is available now, The Mommy Apothecary for moms and dads, right? What every parent should have
Yep.
on hand and why. You can pick it up. Is the website still tracystropnd.com?
Yep. It's up
And
there.
so you can
Phil
pick it up,
Scott.
and she's got a incredible incentive for you. And what is that code that they can get 50% off, Joe?
Yeah. It's just NF special and then the number 50. So all one word.
And that's special 50. All right.
Love it.
Any parting shots for your millions of fans out there? Because they're ready to
Goodness.
cheer.
Well, I guess my parting message is,
Come on, we always like to have fun. So.
that's great.
The
Is that
crowd's
me?
going wild.
Awesome. He's yelling at me about my phone behind the scenes. So, I would say hold hope, guys. Like if you have what you need on hand, it is a safety net and it will help you. And if you know how to use it, even better. So that's what the resource is for. That's why World of Wellness is there for you guys to get all the things you need. You can just run down there, grab the book, open it up, and pick up the things that I suggested in there. And you don't need them all. Start with 5. Start with 6 products. But get stuff on hand, because it is very helpful when you run into a situation where it's 11 o'clock at night and one of you are sick. And if you have something on hand, trust me, you're going to feel a lot better, even if it's just a Epsom salts, right? And you can take a nice hot Epsom salts bath. So simple things. Health is simple.
And are you accepting any new clients anymore, or are you maxed
Yeah,
out?
I do. I'm booked out till I think June, but I do a couple different things. If they want to see me virtually or in person, there is a little bit of a wait. But I do what's called a quick assessment where they can submit an intake and blood work, and I'll look at it and I'll get them a protocol within 2 weeks. There's no appointment to that. If there's questions or if I can't, just quickly assess it and I need to dive into some things, I will call them and put them on my calendar. But it's a way to get a foundational protocol right away. And that way you can start feeling better. And then I have them book a follow up so that we can continue that path.
And what's the best way to contact you to do something like that?
Yep, just through my website, Tracey Stroup ND. That's N as in not a doctor, nd.com. Not a medical doctor. So I just
Thank
want to be
God.
clear on all those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's TraceyStroupND.com, and there's a little section that says "Let's work together," and you can find all kinds of options to work together. And thanks for adjusting your schedule. Sorry.
Well, hey,
Hey,
you're right on
you're a
time for you.
VIP.
OTET, right? Always. So
Or 30 minutes late.
that's okay. You know what? We appreciate you making time. We know you're very busy with everything you're doing and very generous to help people. So thanks, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Tracey. Go to her website, TRACEY Stroup, STROUPND.com.
ND.
TraceyStroupND.com. Thanks, Dr. Tracey. Have a great day and God bless.
See you in Clearwater.
I'll see you in Florida. God bless you.